Hello there everybody and welcome back to Movie Squirm. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 2024 film Terrifier 3, and this is directed by Damien Leone and stars Lauren Oliveira, David Howard Thornton and Elliot Fulham. Set 5 years after the events of Terrifier 2, Art the Clown has returned to Miles County for the holidays to slay the townsfolk there and spread Christmas terror. Man, I was really looking forward to Terrifier 3. I absolutely love Art the Clown, and it's no secret that he was a rising horror icon in them first two movies before this one came out. People wanted a slasher villain to latch onto, kind of like Freddy and Jason and Michael back in the day, and they see that in Art the Clown, and really, I can't blame people for that. He looks cool, he acts so funny and twisted at times, but it's the brutality of his kills that are arguably the most brutal in any horror franchise of all time. So people keep coming back for that, and I am one of them people. Now, I actually watched the first two Terrifier movies in a double bill at my local cinema before going into this one, and I actually enjoyed them even more on rewatch. So I was kind of hyped going into this one. This felt like a movie that was made for me. But what got my anticipation up even more for this film was when a few trailers dropped and we knew that it was going to be a Christmas time setting. And I thought, oh, that could be really interesting to see what Damien Leone is going to do with this. And we're seeing Art dressed as Santa, slaying people left, right and centre. And I was just really looking forward to seeing all that blood being sprayed on the snow. And this setting, I'm happy to say, was one of my favourite things about Terrifier 3. It actually feels like Christmas time, which is what he obviously wants to go for. But Miles County is all nicely decorated. It feels like a joyful time until this Art the Clown character comes along. But what I really liked was Damien Leone's creative ways to incorporate the themes of Christmas into some of the killings. He just blends the setting into all the horrifying shit that we see here. For example, at one point, Art the Clown gets a Santa suit and goes to the local shopping mall, and he takes this opportunity to become Santa himself. And all the kids are screaming and happy that Santa has finally turned up giving out presents. But we see this a lot in Christmas movies, don't we? The old fake Santa at the mall and stuff. But Damien Leone finds a very twisted way to turn this into a horrifying set piece, and I was like, holy shit, man, this is absolutely going for it, and it's taking no prisoners with this Christmas setting whatsoever.
Hey, Santa's handing out presents!
And if you come to these films for the carnage, the blood and gore, the kills, you are not going to be disappointed whatsoever here. If you didn't think it was possible to raise the stakes, Damien Leone says, just watch me. I mean, he absolutely goes with a no-holds-barred approach here, and I couldn't quite believe the depths he went to. I mean, sometimes I was just thinking, holy shit, he's actually doing it. He's actually going for it here. I mean, there's plenty and plenty of blood and gore on screen here, the gore hounds. I mean, I just cannot see you being disappointed if that's your main thing that you take from these movies, because I was wincing at times, and you know, I can take this, but sometimes I just have to tilt my head a little bit or go, oh, you know, you can't help it. There is some painful scenes to watch here, but in a really good way. For this movie to get a wide cinema release in the middle of a desensitized society that we live in here, and let's be honest, I mean, everything is toned down these days, but Terrifier 3, it feels like a movie that shouldn't be on the big screen because it is that brutal, but to get it is just a wonderful achievement from Damien Leone. He's plonked it right in the middle there of our everyday lives, and I think people who aren't the most regular cinema goers may want to go and see this for that reason. A movie that just gives no fucks whatsoever. And I am so happy that we have it here now, and it's getting this big cinema release, because I've seen early reports that it's doing very well, and that can only be a good thing for horror fans and Terrifier fans, of course. And you can just tell Damien Leone has horror fans at heart here. He's took a movie that feels like it probably belongs in the 80s, because we were getting loads of great slashes back then, and brought it to the modern day. But you can just tell that he's a horror fan. You don't need him to confirm it, because he has took all little bits of inspiration and gives you little nods here and there to all these classic horror movies, and he just wears the slasher genre on his sleeve here. As a slasher fan myself, Terrifier 3 just ticked every single fucking box that I needed for the subgenre. And honestly, this isn't me being overreactive, over-exaggerating, or anything like that. This is the God honest truth. I honestly thought when I was watching this movie that I was witnessing horror history being made in front of my very eyes, with the rising horror icon in Art the Clown being very popular, and is most popular now with this third movie. The brutal killings and everything that are in there, but the Christmas setting as well. It just feels like it's going to be a movie that people are going to be talking about in about 30 years' time still. I feel like this is going to be an annual watch for horror fans every Christmas, every holiday. It just feels like an important cog in the slasher genre. But just on that rising horror icon there, I want to quash that now and just say I don't think he's a rising horror icon. He is a horror icon now with this third movie. Art is becoming very popular in pop culture. People who I work with who don't really even go to the cinema much, they turn to me and say, oh, you're going to see that new Terrifier movie? You like movies, right? I've heard that Art the Clown is a really great killer. So people who don't even watch movies that much know who Art is. I feel like he's starting to become like Freddy a little bit now, like he probably was back in the 80s. But what I want to say is that this version of Art the Clown is my favourite performance in any of these movies by David Howard Thornton by a mile. As great as the kills are in this movie, my absolute favourite thing about the entire film was Art the Clown himself. And that is with the kills aside. I mean, the mannerisms he has, the faces he pulls, the way David Howard Thornton is bringing this personality out into this terrifying slasher villain without any voice whatsoever is just absolutely amazing to me. David Howard Thornton is super talented and it just shines through here. I mean, he just brings the character to life. For example, there is this one moment in the movie that takes place in a bar, and I've got to say this was my favourite scene, not just in this movie, but probably in all three movies put together. David Howard Thornton, who plays Art, sees Santa Claus sitting in a bar, and he gets so giddy and excited and runs in to meet him. And I don't want to say too much more than that, but man, I just knew every single thing that Art the Clown was trying to say. The way David Howard Thornton, he is a mime artist, let's be honest, in real life, we all know that. The way he articulates his expressions and stuff, the way he puts it across on screen, you just know everything what Art is trying to say. And I was laughing my ass off so hard in the cinema at this. It was an absolute joy to watch. It was absolutely hilarious to see Art at work here. But you know in the back of your mind, and this is what the great thing about the character is, when he's having fun with people and stuff in the movie, you always know there's something coming. And he has got the ability to make you laugh and then have your jaw on the floor in a split second right there. And that is what's so amazing about this character to me. You can't take your eyes off him. One, because you're just having so much fun with him. But two, if you do, basically, that's the end for you. And I just want to give a massive shout to Lauren Rivera here too, who plays our main protagonist, Sienna. She only really came into the franchise in the second film, and she was just your normal, everyday teenager there. She put a great performance in. But here, because it's 5 years later and all the stuff that she suffered in that second movie, she is dealing with so much grief, so much trauma, and you can just tell in every scene that she is hurting. Like, even in scenes where she is smiling and trying to be nice to people and just try and get on with her everyday life, you can just see the sadness behind her eyes. Like, this is never left her, and it just lives with her every single day, basically. But when she has to break out of that smile and put people in their place and sort of get loud and get angry at people, man, she does it so well. She owns that fucking screen. But I'm happy to say she also brings that kick-ass character that she was in the second movie and that personality that makes her a warrior right into this film. I can only imagine that this is going to open up many more great opportunities for Lauren Rivera, and good luck to her. And I got to say, Elliot Fulham, who I did like in the second movie, feels like he stepped up a gear in this one. Like, he's not in the movie as much, admittedly, but when he is, he just feels like he has matured so much as an actor here. I don't know if that's with age or whatever, and he was like a little kid in the first movie, or the second movie, should I say. But here, he just feels like a more mature character, a more well-rounded performance, and he just feels like he has been here before, and he knows exactly what to do with this character. So I just thought I'd give him a quick mention. I thought he was great in this film for the few scenes that he was in. But this movie, most importantly, is just so much fun. There was never a dull moment for me. I was never bored, and I was just entertained constantly throughout. Now, there is a bit more production value in here. You can see the money has been pumped in a little bit more than usual. It carries that grindhouse effect a little bit, but overall, this film just feels a little bit more visually nicer to look at and a little bit more polished, and it works massively in its favour. Now, I just want to talk about the story here because I do have some positives and negatives, so this is like my mixed aspect, really, of the review. But there is a certain character who is in the first movie, but I don't think his story is all that great, really. And it just feels like there's too many loose ends. She shows up in the second movie just for a little bit, and I thought she was going to be just forgotten about, really. But she is being given such a bigger role in this film, and she is involved in a lot of the great scenes in this movie, especially when it comes to the kills. So we don't just have Art the Clown committing all these murders and causing all this carnage. It shakes it up a little bit, and I thought that was a very welcome addition. Now, I was quite happy to see less of the fantasy aspect thrown into this one as well. My fear was that it was going to go too far, because as much as I like the second movie, that third act just has way too much of this, and all of it doesn't really make sense to me personally. But I'm glad Damien Leone sort of went back to the first movie here. Now, he has gone on record to say that this was his intention. He wanted to go and get the feel from the first movie back because he'd done his Dream Warriors type film in the second movie, and for me, that worked. I'm glad he just kind of went back to basics, because we don't want the simplicity of this story to get too complicated now. But on the other hand, whilst they expand the lore a little bit, I don't think it's done enough. And they probably could have done this without going too much into the fantasy realms, really. But the bad thing about not going into it a little bit more is that I'm left with more questions than answers. Now, I know Damien Leone plans to make a Terrifier 4, and this feels like a little bit of a middle chapter, if you like. I know it's the third movie, but we only really start getting into the story mainly in the second one now, don't we? So there is that aspect of the film where you kind of think there's more to come, and you're not going to get everything you want here involving the lore and the story, put it that way. So I think one or two more little moments could have been added in, but it's not really a major negative. It's just a bit of a nitpick. You don't really want to come out of movies having more questions than answers now. Now, I do have one big negative about the film, and unfortunately it is the character of Gabby, who is newly introduced into this film. She didn't appear in the first two movies, played by Antonella Rose. And the problem with her is she's one of them kind of annoying kid characters we sometimes get in movies. She won't be the first, and she will not be the last. Even though I do think child actors have improved over the years, this one falls back a little bit and feels like one of them characters that we did used to get in the 80s and 90s. I mean, she's just this overexcited kid. She's always invading Sienna's space, and she just frustrated and grated on me as the film went on. And when she gets in harm's way at times, the movie kind of asks you to be worried about it, and hopefully everything's going to be okay. But I honestly really did not care what happened to this character. So, yeah, unfortunately, that was just a negative with the movie for me. Some people may not see it this way, but I certainly did. However, guys, this was a slasher fan's dream. This gave me everything I wanted and more, and I'm so happy Damien Leone has built up this franchise, made it hugely popular, and it is basically in our everyday lives now. So, yeah, I'm a Terrifier fan. What can I say? I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. I'm going to give Terrifier 3 an 8.5 out of 10. This is probably my favourite entry into the franchise, and I really, really hope we get a fourth one. I'm sure we will. Okay, at the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, a fun fact for Terrifier 3 is that at one point in this movie, a character is reading a book called The Ninth Circle by the author Rosemary Castavet. And The Ninth Circle is a short movie that Art the Clown first appeared in, but obviously the Castavets are the neighbours in Rosemary's Baby, and Rosemary being the title character, so that's where the author name come from. I think Damien Leone must be a huge fan of Rosemary's Baby, because in the first movie, I remember one of the characters saying to another character, "Do you want to do the laundry with me?" And that is another reference from Rosemary's Baby as well. Okay guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. What did you think of Terrifier 3? Did it deliver for you? Was you disappointed? Please do let me know in the comments down below. I'll get back to you all, I promise. Man, this was such a good time at the cinema. If you want more 2024 horror movie reviews, they will be in the link down below, along with my video of my vlog when I went to a double bill of the first two films. So don't forget to check that out as well. Thanks so much guys, you take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.